Hey guys, before we begin this episode of Let's Fight, I'm just here to let you know that this video is proudly sponsored by the lovely folks over at MiHoYo and their hit mobile action RPG Honkai Impact 3rd. Do you like cute anime girls fighting monsters? Do you like sexy cel-shaded styled anime graphics in your mobile games? Do you just like games with hot anime waifus in them? If any of those answers are yes, then you're sure as hell gonna love some Honkai Impact 3rd. And because it's on mobile, you can play it anywhere you want. Play it on your couch, play it in the kitchen, play it in the bathtub, but don't play it on the bed, I swear to God. And if you download Honkai Impact 3rd right now by clicking the links in the description below, you can check out the latest Dorm Life expansion update. Kawaii-fy your room with new furniture and furnishing to make that sick and slick dorm for your kawaii Valkyries, because the waifus only deserve the very best. Again, click the links in the description below to get the game on iOS or Android. Thanks again to MiHoYo and Honkai Impact 3rd for sponsoring today's episode, and I hope you enjoy the video.
Yeah.
How's it going, everyone? This is the Anime Man. Unpopular opinions. You hate them. I debate them. I'm back home, so let's fight! That's right, we're back in Japan. It's been 3 months since I've been back, and why not kick it off with some good-ass, hard-ass Let's Fight, the show where I take your guys' unpopular opinions that you send to me via Twitter using the hashtag Let's Fight. I read them, I give you my opinions on them, tell you if I agree with your unpopular opinion or disagree with your unpopular opinion. A lot of people get pissed off in this show. That's how we like it on the internet. So without further ado, let's fucking fight! Boku dake ga inai machi, Erased, is underrated. No! If it had to fall on either side of the spectrum, the underrated side of the spectrum or the overrated side of the spectrum, I would have to say it falls more on the overrated side. Look, I've given my opinions on the Erased anime adaptation in past videos, but if you can't be bothered or you don't know or anything, I liked Erased until around episode 10, and then everything just started to kind of fall apart thanks to the biggest cuck of the century of anime. I'm not going to say it in this video in case it's spoilers, but if you've seen it, then you know exactly what cuck I'm talking about. And the thing is that it wasn't even the cuck that made the anime just fall to pieces. Like, it was way before that when they finally started to give glimpses, or should I say really fucking obvious clues as to who the real killer actually is when I was like, okay, I feel like my intelligence is being tested and I'm kind of being made fun of right now. Like, again, I'm not going to give any spoilers in this video in case you haven't seen Erased. I do actually recommend you check it out though, because as I said, it is really good up until a certain point. But yeah, I would definitely say it is overrated. A lot of people hyped it up quite heavily as being this fucking amazing mystery show, and it's like, oh my god, I never saw the end coming, when if you actually, you know, weren't an idiot and paid attention, from around episode 8, it was pretty goddamn obvious as to what the entire mystery was actually going to be. And even if you knew the true culprit and you knew the entire mystery, the ending was just so messy and unstructured that at the end of it, it was like, what the fuck was the point of sitting through all of that? Not only did the main guy get cucked super fucking hard, but he also resolved a crime that didn't really resolve in a very exciting, it was rather quite, like, anticlimactic and kind of stupid, in all honesty. So yeah, Erased, underrated, nothing. Neon Genesis Evangelion is a horrible anime. The characters were awfully written and the main aspects of plot were rushed in the last episodes. Not to mention that the last 2 episodes had non-existent connections to the rest, even if taking the end of Eve into account. Okay, look, I completely understand people who say that they hated Neon Genesis Evangelion or that it makes no fucking sense. Like, especially the no fucking sense bit. I actually don't blame people who think that because, in all honesty, even the creator, Hideaki Anno, has said that Neon Genesis Evangelion makes no fucking sense. He wrote the goddamn thing. Yeah, you know, there are some really obvious, like, you know, subplots and subcontexts around the entire narrative and all sorts of very deep and hidden lore when you actually look really, really deep into every single episode and every single frame and every single character of the TV series. But obviously, the majority of anime watchers and the majority of people who did watch Neon Genesis Evangelion aren't going to sit through hours and hours of the same 26 episodes of the TV series and dig out every single little bit about it. But to say that the the anime is horrible, or that the characters are bad, or that the story wasn't structured properly just because of how it ended, I think is really fucking unfair. Because here's the thing, so many people criticize Neon Genesis Evangelion for Shinji, the main character. Obviously there's that whole thing of like, get in the fucking robot Shinji, and Shinji being a little whiny bitch, and all the characters being way too overly depressed and way too overly dramatic for their own good. But the thing that you have to remember is that in the case with characters like Shinji and Asuka and Rei, they're all kids. And I feel that Hideaki Anno really wanted to try and bring out the reality that these kids, not these adults, these kids are facing when put into a situation that for themselves is quite unavoidable. Like, think about it. If you were a 14-year-old kid just living your day-to-day life and your deranged sunglasses wearing dad came up to you and was like, I need you to get inside of this robot that connects your brain and fight these monsters that basically, if left alone, will destroy the entire world. So, no pressure, fam. Like, yeah, no shit that I would probably go insane as well. I would probably start to get depressed. I would probably start to feel like I am alone in this world. I would probably find myself getting into more trouble than what I already am getting myself into. Kind of like how Shinji was. Holy shit! I know this may sound really dumb, but I just can't stand people who are just jumping onto the whole Shinji's a little bitch meme when, yeah, no shit, I would be a little bitch too if I was put in that situation, wouldn't you? But I will definitely say that concerning the last couple of episodes of the original TV series, yes, it is true that that part was very, very sloppy. That part was completely derailed from the original series, and personally, I wasn't a huge fan of it, but I can still appreciate its artistic value and the way that it decided to go. It was very heavily psychological, very heavily hallucinogenic almost, and it really showed you the deep insides of each of these characters, what these characters are actually feeling, what these characters were probably going through day to day throughout the rest of the episodes that they were going through. But yeah, I will agree that those last couple of episodes were pretty goddamn stupid. Probably the whole reason why Hideaki Anno decided to create all of those other movies like End of Eve and Rebirth and all of the new Neon Genesis Evangelions. If only he'd bring out 4.0! Where the fuck is it? Fuck Gojira, fam! I'm a female and I hate shoujo anime. I just don't enjoy it. Wait, is this an unpopular opinion? Let's fight, I guess. Look, just because you're a female, it doesn't mean you have to like shoujo anime. Kind of the same thing as just because you're a male, you don't have to like shonen anime. If anything, the whole shonen is for boys and shoujo is for girls stereotype or stigma is pretty outdated, especially now that shoujo and shonen have kind of just become a natural gateway kind of genre to all genders for people who watch anime. I mean, look, I fucking love shonen, probably because I'm a boy. But I can also go on to say that Sailor Moon is one of the greatest TV series of all time, and I will fucking fight anybody who disagrees with me. Same thing as there are probably tons of girls watching this video right now who are balls deep into shonen shows like Tokyo Ghoul, My Hero Academia, One Piece, Naruto, Bleach, Fairy Tail, all of these shows for boys. But that's the thing, shonen and shoujo is just become this generalized genre in anime now. It doesn't really hold as much meaning as what it used to be. There is no girl sitting there scrolling through the anime website or whatever thinking, there aren't any shoujos, just a bunch of shonens. Guess I can't watch anything then. No, of course not. That's fucking stupid. If you see a show, regardless of what the genre is, you should just be able to watch it, right? There are probably plenty of girls who prefer DBZ over Sailor Moon, and there are probably plenty of guys who prefer Sailor Moon over DBZ. Does that make you any less of an anime fan just because a certain gender-specific genre doesn't fit with your particular gender? No, of course not. You can be a female, a male, bi, LGBTQ, anything in that spectrum. You can watch whatever the fuck you want. You don't have to watch a gender-specific genre. The fact that I'm saying the word gender-specific genre is fucking stupid sounding to begin with. Nothing like that exists anymore. I have been thinking to cover this video in a much broader topic, probably in a separate video, so I'll just leave it at that for now. Griffith did nothing wrong. He did Casca, that's pretty wrong. Steins Gate is actually boring garbage that doesn't deserve the intense hype it gets. How fucking dare you? I'm just guessing right now that this person who sent me this unpopular opinion is probably a person who dropped Steins Gate probably somewhere between episode 1 to episode 11, where, yes, to put it in simple terms, a lot of nothing does actually happen. It doesn't actually start to get intense until the second half of Steins Gate, but that is to say, even though the second half is what makes it good, that doesn't mean the first half is boring. In fact, if you actually sit through the first 11 to 12 episodes, you will soon realize after watching the second half and after finishing the entire series that that first half is very fucking important, because not only does it build up characters and character relationships, but it does amazing world building. It explains a bunch of very core fundamental principles that become very important as the plot gets way more convoluted later on in the series. And come on, you can't deny that the characters themselves hold up that otherwise boring time of the first half, because they're just so fucking interesting and intense, and the way that they talk to each other, the way that these characters develop with one another in this convoluted story is interesting on its own, in my opinion. I mean, look, yes, if you are one of those impatient motherfuckers who just want to get straight on, balls to the walls from episode 1, then Steins Gate might not be the series for you. But if you can appreciate some time taken to properly world build, properly develop characters, then in turn create a fucking amazing plot twist and an amazingly convoluted yet interesting and intense story right up until the end, then you should watch Steins Gate. But if you can't be patient enough to sit through just a couple of episodes of world building and character building, then I would just say don't even bother with Steins Gate. It's clearly not a show for you. Anime are freaking cartoons. Anyone who says otherwise is a complete weeaboo and only says anime aren't cartoons because they hate American cartoons like Family Guy, SpongeBob, etc. You know what? I kind of have to agree with this opinion, weirdly. Look, here's the thing. Yes, anime are cartoons, but not all cartoons are anime. Kinda like an albatross is a bird, but not all birds are an albatross. It's a Venn diagram situation. Because the word anime, definition, comes from the Japanese word anime, which is short for animation or animation. Therefore, cartoons are technically anime. Anime are technically cartoons. Animation can be anime and cartoons. It all just fits under one bubble. This is just another perfect example of the internet destroying the definition of a word. Kind of like what they did with the word weeaboo. I made a whole video about how the definition of the word weeaboo had just been completely destroyed by the internet to the point where not many people actually know what the fuck the word means anymore. The word anime is kind of the same thing. Over in the West, the word is used to define animations, i.e. cartoons, of Japanese origin or of Japanese style, of Japanese studios. But the word anime here in Japan means animation. That includes anime, cartoons. All types of animations are technically anime. I know this is probably about to blow your mind, but just hear me out, okay? In Japan, Shrek is an anime.
I'm not joking.
All Pixar movies, all Disney movies, all Warner Brothers cartoons, everything on Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, everything that is an animation, that is all anime. The word cartoon does not exist in the Japanese vocabulary. It is all anime because they are all animations. So this unpopular opinion is really interesting because over in the West, it is definitely an unpopular opinion. People who love anime do not want to call anime cartoons because cartoons are just a specific thing in their minds. But over here in Japan, it's actually kind of common sense. Yes, cartoons, all animations are anime. So at the end of the day, what is anime? It's really up to you, honestly. There have been so many videos online of people saying, oh, anime is this, anime is not this, anime should be this, anime could be this, but at the end of the day, my answer to what is anime is, it's up to fucking you. If you want to call something anime, it's anime. If you don't want to call something anime, it's not anime. Simple as that. My Neighbor Totoro is a boring and bad movie. Only nostalgia blind people like it. That was barely English, but I kind of get what you're saying here. Look, let me go on record to say that I fucking love My Neighbor Totoro, but that was because it was one of the first Ghibli movies that I ever watched. I think I watched that when I was maybe 2 or 3 years old. I was very, very young when I watched it. And it's very obvious that that movie is for kids. The main demographic is for kids, which is a completely different direction that Studio Ghibli decided to take compared to their previous works. And look, if you compare My Neighbor Totoro to other highly intense, highly story-intensive, action-packed movies like Mononoke Hime, Nausicaa, Castle in the Sky, Ponyo, any of those, like, yeah, Totoro does seem to be very anticlimactic. Like, not a lot happens in My Neighbor Totoro compared to all of these other shows, but that's because My Neighbor Totoro is, for more of the better words, a slice of life anime. I think it's kind of unfair to say that a show like Non Non Biyori is boring and uneventful when comparing it to Steins Gate. Actually, hold on, somebody said that Steins Gate was pretty boring and uneventful, wasn't it? Alright, forget about that one. Let's be honest here though, I wouldn't today go and watch My Neighbor Totoro if it came out in the cinemas because it's obviously not part of my demographic. Same reason that I didn't go and see Ponyo when it first came out in cinemas here in Japan, because I watched the trailer and immediately foresaw that that was a kids anime. But even though I wouldn't go and watch it today as an adult, I still appreciate My Neighbor Totoro because it had so many small little details that just made everything so charming. Yes, some of the characters may be annoying at times, a little bit over dramatic at times. The situations that they come across may be a little bit stupid and maybe even corny if you look at it in today's standards. But back when My Neighbor Totoro first came out, that was one of the most detailed, most intricate anime movies that had ever come out to that day. Because even though it's an anime film that is over 20 years old at this point, it still looks good to this day. You can't deny that. The fact that people are still using Totoro GIFs and using desktop and mobile wallpapers derived from My Neighbor Totoro just goes to show that the aesthetics that came out of that movie were just on a completely different level, even to this day. So yeah, I don't really blame people who say that My Neighbor Totoro is boring and uneventful, and I do actually kind of agree with the point that, yeah, maybe I am being a little bit blinded by the nostalgia because it was one of the first Studio Ghibli films I ever watched. But you also have to understand that there are a lot of great little things that are hidden within Totoro that were very important to the growth of Studio Ghibli later on in the years. Suzumiya Haruhi no Yutsu is one of the worst popular anime series of this decade. What? That's a pretty fucking big claim you just made, dude. The worst popular anime of this decade. Look, I'm just gonna float a couple of shows here on the screen right now that would definitely be a better contender for the worst popular show of this decade, because Haruhi was popular, but it wasn't as popular as some of these shows, and definitely a lot better than some of these shows right here. Look, I gave my whole opinion on what I think about Haruhi in my previous video, which I'll leave in the description below, but basically, Suzumiya Haruhi is a very important show to the overall growth of not only the light novel adaptation side of things, but also the way that storytelling and world building and characters changed in these kinds of simple fantasy stories. Because without Suzumiya Haruhi and the success of Suzumiya Haruhi, we wouldn't have a lot of shows today. Especially considering that as the years go on, there are more and more light novel adaptations with every year. So yeah, I understand if you don't like Suzumiya Haruhi, but worst popular anime of the decade? Far from it, my dude. I don't like hentai. The door's right there, and I'm gonna leave. Fuck you. Akira, specifically the movie, was incredibly boring. I almost fell asleep waiting for something interesting to happen. Nothing did. This has to be a troll. This person can't be serious. This has to be a troll. I don't think I've ever met a single person who said that Akira was boring. Like, nothing happened. Like, are you sure you're not confusing Akira with My Neighbor Totoro? I know these are both anime movies, but they're not the same movie. If this person is actually being serious and saying that they think that nothing happened in Akira and Akira was uneventful and boring, I want to see what they think is an eventful and interesting show. Because in my mind, the things that happen in Akira are some of the most intense fucking things that ever happened in all of anime. And I am not over-exaggerating. It's one of my favorite movies for that reason. Because what is it about a post-apocalyptic Neo-Tokyo setting with bike gangs and mysterious Cybermen who can use mythical powers and a crazy kid who develops those mythical powers and goes to destroy all of Tokyo to make himself feel superior to his friends and family? What about that is boring? I don't understand. So, I beg of you, if you are watching this video right now, person who gave me this unpopular opinion, comment below. What is a show? What is an anime show or movie that you think is, in your standards, interesting and eventful? Because if you say that Akira is not interesting or not eventful, then I need to see this show that you supposedly think is more eventful and interesting than Akira. Like, I need to see that. If you're trolling, then fuck you. You're wrong. Lucy from Elfen Lied is best girl ever, not to mention the best yandere. Okay, not only are you wrong about the best girl thing, but you're also wrong about the best yandere. Lucy's a very interesting character in Elfen Lied because she has, of course, the multiple personality disorder thing of really evil Lucy, which is her real side, and the very, like, calm side, which in the show they call new. But I don't know, man, her sister is just so much of a better character in my opinion, just overall. Also, yes, Lucy is technically yandere, as we find out later in the series, but she's far from being the best yandere in all of anime. I will still stand by and say, I said it in my previous videos, but I will still stand by and say that Kaede from Shuffle is the greatest yandere of all anime, and if you don't believe so, then you need to go watch Shuffle and witness what a true yandere is. Guilty pleasure anime doesn't exist. If you like an anime, you like it, and that's that. If you feel it's a guilty pleasure, then you're admitting your opinion is greatly shaped/influenced by the opinions of others. Yeah, I mean, I kind of get that, but what's wrong with having an opinion that is shaped by others? Look, I know that might sound really hypocritical, especially coming from a guy who gives my opinions on anime and then tells you to go and make up your mind on your own, but even though I say that, let's be real, it is pretty difficult to do something like that for everybody. Not everybody has this extremely open-mindedness and extreme determination to come up with their own conclusions on everything that they say, especially after they hear a strong opinion. Not just from me, but from other people who have strong opinions about a certain something in anime. It's very difficult to hear those kinds of things, take it all in, and then derive something completely different as to the thing that you just heard. And honestly, I don't think there's anything wrong with having guilty pleasure anime, and I do think guilty pleasure anime do exist, and there is nothing wrong with that. Like, I will go on to say that shows like Yosuga no Sora and Kiss Sis are my guilty pleasure anime because I know they suck. I know it's a shit show. I don't have anyone to tell me, and I don't need anybody to tell me that those are shit shows because I know they're shit shows. I reviewed them. But even though I think that on a review basis or even on an analytical basis, these are absolutely garbage shows, I still like something about it and I can't put my finger on it, but I just like it. There's, like, I could sit here for 2 hours analyzing both of these shows, and at the end of it, I could tell you all of these really crappy things about it and a few good things about it, and I will still come out and say, I just kinda liked it, and I don't know why. But I do also agree with this particular point of people who just say, oh, this is my guilty pleasure anime, just to hide from the fact that they know a lot of people are gonna bash on them about that certain opinion and they don't want to admit to it, so they just say guilty pleasure to kind of hide behind a wall. I know there's at least one of you motherfuckers out there watching this. See, the thing with me and a lot of people who say that these shitty shows are their guilty pleasure anime, they don't give a fuck if you think that you have shit taste in anime because you say you like these shows, because you know that that's a shit opinion. You know that these are shit anime, but you just don't care. You still liked something about it, and if you're okay with it, then what's wrong with that? But go and watch Yosuga no Sora and Kiss Sis. They're shit shows, but they're really good. I only watch anime with a male protagonist. Well, then you're missing out on a lot of good shit, my dude. Sucks to be you. Yuri on Ice was okay, but one can't go about ignoring flaws just because something brings representation to the table. In this case, LGBTQ representation. Actually, this could be said of quite a few things as of late. Get your shit together, fangirls. Thank you. I'm really scared to talk about this topic, but I really want to get it off my chest. You probably all know how I feel about Yuri on Ice and how I'm not exactly the biggest fan of it. I was criticized greatly when I first let out my opinions on Yuri on Ice, especially when the Yuri on Ice hype was at its absolute maximum. But here's the thing, so many people misconstrued my opinion on Yuri on Ice thinking that the only reason I dislike it is because of its LGBT homosexuality nature, which is absolutely not true. I had people outright calling me homophobic just because I said that I didn't really enjoy Yuri on Ice for its supposedly gay relationship that they have, but that is absolutely not true. I never once said that the yaoi elements of Yuri on Ice is what turned me off on the show. Because here's the thing, I've seen a lot of fucking Yuri and Yaoi shows, and there are plenty of Yuri and Yaoi shows and plenty of Yuri and Yaoi couples that do the whole LGBTQ representation thing so much better than Yuri on Ice. Yuri on Ice is not fucking special. It is not the first show that made a good representation of the LGBT community. It is not going to be the last show that is going to have a good representation of the LGBT community. Oh, I'm so fucking scared to talk about this topic because I know that that side of the community can be very sensitive, and it's a very sensitive topic, and especially coming from a straight male like myself, you know, it's very blasphemous, and I can already see the dislikes. Don't worry, I'm ready to take them all. I did not like the relationship that they had, the gay relationship that they had in Yuri on Ice, because even as a yaoi relationship, it wasn't that fucking special. When you compare it to the grander scale of all the other yaoi relationships that you ever see in yaoi and non-yaoi anime shows, the relationship in Yuri on Ice between Yuri and Victor was actually quite cliche if you think about it. And look, that's not to say that cliche is bad, because in a lot of cases, in a lot of yaoi shows, they are very cliche, but that's the thing that gets the fangirls excited. But there is also room to make it a little bit more interesting and make it a little bit different. Because I can think of plenty of Yuri's and yaoi shows that just did the whole LGBTQ thing so much better, like Papa to Kiss in the Dark, Gravitation, Strawberry Panic. And if we're talking in terms of manga, there's the entire Black Cat Boyfriend series. Even Citrus, even though the anime adaptation was shit, the manga for that makes a great statement on Yuri relationships. So yeah, I get it, fangirls. Yuri on Ice might have brought about a LGBTQ representation revolution to a lot of you, but that's probably because Yuri on Ice was the first LGBTQ representation anime you probably ever watched. It's definitely not the first to ever exist, and it is definitely not the first show to get as popular as it did. And just because it did get extremely popular, it doesn't mean it's fucking good. So yeah, Yuri on Ice fangirls or the LGBTQ community, if you are watching this, and I know you're probably watching this and you're probably about to blast your shit on Twitter, just know that A, I do absolutely not hate you. I don't condemn you for thinking that Yuri on Ice is like the second coming of Jesus when it comes to LGBTQ relationships. I just think you need to calm down a little bit and take a step back and see that there are so many other options that do it much better than Yuri on Ice ever did. In fact, you know what? I'll leave a couple of examples in the description below for you to go and check out and make your mind up upon. These are shows and manga series that I think do the whole LGBTQ representation in so much more of an interesting way and so much more of a fun way. And they all came before Yuri on Ice did, so go check it out and let me know what you think. Oh, I really just did that, didn't I? I just brought about a war between me and the LGBTQ anime community. I'm dead! And with that giant bombshell, I'll think we'll end it right there, guys. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Let's Fight. If you enjoyed it, make sure to fucking smack that like button, subscribe, all that shit, you know how it goes. If you want to participate in the next episode of Let's Fight, I try and do these once a month to keep things a little bit interesting around here, then the best place to send me your unpopular opinions is to use that hashtag Let's Fight over on Twitter, and make sure to follow me over on Twitter as well and send it my way. If you'd like to check out the 2 previous episodes of Let's Fight, then I've also left both of those in the description below, so check all of those out. And if you agreed or disagreed with any of the responses to these unpopular opinions, you know, let me know what you think about all of those down in the comments below. I'm really interested to hear what you guys think about that. And yeah, I know I say this every single Let's Fight episode, or at least, you know, this is the 3rd one, so I've said it in the past too, but go easy on me, internet. I'm just one man, I'm just one opinion, and the whole point of this show is to get my opinions out, but also to try and start a civil discussion with you guys. I know that's a big task, especially coming from the anime community who just love to be uncivil, but let's see if we can try and do it at least for one day of our weeby lives, shall we? Anyways guys, thanks for watching. As always, like and favorite if you enjoyed, subscribe for more anime, and I'll see you guys in the next video of whatever I make. Keep watching anime. Ciao!